out there. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for coming back for another video. My name is Cole and you're watching Trucking Inspired. And today we're going to be taking you through a day in the life of what it is I do at my job, more specifically. And I'm also going to be peeling back the curtain on a little bit of other things that I do in my home life specifically. But right now we are on our way. We got an hour commute. And I know some people might be thinking that's a terrible commute. And I know some people might be thinking that their commute is even worse than this. But for me, it's depending on the day. Right now I got a good podcast on. Sometimes I just sit here, just keep my mind open up for the day, and I'll bring you guys back on board once we get back in the truck. So good morning, we are back here. We're getting our first load today. And today, like I said, I'm just gonna kind of bring you over what I do, who I work for, and what I do throughout a day. So we're here making our first load. And what I actually do is I actually haul salt water off of an oil well. I do it day in and day out. But the first load is very specific to this one location. So this first load is actually coming off of this tank. And this is the power oil tank, which is what they actually use when they pull oil out the actual well to store in these tanks. They actually send some to this tank, which runs the generator which actually makes the well run, so it's self-sufficient. Well, to this well and another one that is a stone's throw away, you can actually see from the other side of this pad here, is that these two wells specifically make a ton of water. More water than almost any other well around here in our field specifically. Is that a crucial part of this operation here, the heater treater on this particular well is actually down. So that makes, for some reason, this tank fill up extra quick. We don't know, the pumpers have not figured out exactly why this is happening, but this tank fills up extra quick, especially quick for some reason right now. So what we do is first thing in the morning, we come here and fill this one up, which I really don't mind because this load is actually the fastest load. This tank loads itself in about 15 minutes. And you can actually do this one without running the pump on the truck, but I had to run the pump on the truck just to be sure, and it helps it go faster along. So yes, this is the first load. We'll be coming back and getting 2 more loads off the regular tanks, which we'll be getting to in a little bit. But we got 15 minutes to kill. And if you're not familiar with the channel, I actually post a video on a daily basis, doing a daily motivational video. So I'll take you guys through kind of what that process looks like. All right, good Thursday morning. It is a beautiful morning here in Northwest Florida. We are getting up and getting at it. It is, you are not here by accident. You're here to learn lessons and accomplish. You're gonna learn more by actually failing at something than you are of actually doing it right. So just keep that in mind, keep your head up, learn something today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another one. Peace. Okay, so that took a lot longer than expected. And I actually thought it was gonna be I thought for sure as soon as I turned the camera on, I was probably gonna get it right the first time just because of how fate works. But as you can see, those things do take a couple bloopers to get through. So I hope you enjoyed that. We're gonna finish getting loaded here. I'm gonna let you guys keep an eye on the sunrise, and I will see you once we get to our disposal well, which I will be going over on how we actually get rid of the salt water. All right, so we are actually on our way to dispose of the salt water. We have just picked up on our first load, but I actually want to kind of go over the basic functions of a vacuum trailer itself. So basically you have 2 functions here with a vacuum trailer, and that is either to pull a vacuum or to build pressure. When you pull a vacuum, and basically when you're pulling a vacuum, it's just kind of how it sounds. You are pulling a vacuum on the tank so you can load whatever it is that you have to load. Oil spill, salt water, all kind of different products you can load with a vacuum truck. And then you have what it is building pressure, which is, again, just as it sounds, what you're actually going to do is build pressure inside the tank to exhaust whatever product it is you have out. And it's really, it's not rocket science. It's nothing, I'm not out here doing the Lord's work or anything. There is an order of operations. Certain things have to be opened at certain times, certain things have to be closed. Things flip this way, flip that way. But there's really not that much to it. I personally enjoy the specifics of the job that I have because, like I said, I get the first load takes me 15 minutes to load, and it takes me about 30 minutes to unload. And then I have two more loads that would take 30 minutes to load and 30 minutes to unload. The unload time is usually about the same. And so yeah, and actually my drive takes approximately 45 minutes from one location to the other without any major hiccups as far as trains or wait times at the disposal well. So keep that in mind, but we're headed to the disposal well now. Let's get there, let's get hooked up, and let's get rid of all this salt water. I'll see you guys in just a second. All right, so we've made it to the disposal well, and what actually goes on here is, like I said, you build pressure in the tank. You actually push. Actually pushing this salt water into a old oil well, which is actually pumping it just back into the earth. I don't know exactly how many feet down it goes. I've asked a couple people up here. Nobody's been able to tell me for sure. And that's really all I know as far as this process of it goes and how this is handled. We're at a diesel plant. And like, there's a couple trucks that come in and out of here, but for the most part, I mean, they're within a 90-mile radius. There's several hundred wells in our field, and like I said, there's only a couple that make, there's only a couple that make as much water as the ones we're working make. There's only a couple more that actually make water that has to be hauled off to this extent. Most of the time, you can just shuffle around the tanks. So, but let's talk about some common issues you can run into when you're running a vacuum truck. Before we get into this, I just want to say that everything I'm about to say right now is based off of subordinates and other weaker employees have told me. I'm a professional, so I've never made any mistakes in or out of the truck. So I really can't speak from experience too much of what I'm about to tell you is these common mistakes people make or things you got to look for, because I'm always on top of it. So just bear with me because I'm not too knowledgeable on the errors and mistakes people can make. Okay, since we got our good lie out of the day, let's jump into one of the big ones. One of the ones that I have done a couple times, not engaging your PTO. So this right here is what actually turns on and engages your pump. Without this, you're not doing anything. You just got a tank. This is not pulling a vacuum or building pressure. I know I'm sorry it's kind of loud right here. So another common mistake is not having your pump turned on the right way. So right now we're in pressure mode. If we was to turn it back this way, it would actually be pulling a vacuum. So make sure your pump handle is facing the right direction, your pump flowing the right way. Now, much less of an issue, but something you gotta watch for is this float right here. And there's a ball in here that allows pressure to build up. This runs to your vent line. And what can happen is this thing can actually get jammed up or lodged up, spilling water out of your vent line. All right, and another common thing is right here, your vent line itself. You need to make sure that when you are trying to build a vacuum or you're trying to build pressure, you need to have this handle down. Otherwise, you have a giant 2-inch line not allowing you to seal off the tank. You need to make sure that your vent line for your actual valve is closed. You want to make sure that this is closed. Right here, we are in the open position. We are unloading the tank. You need to keep an eye on your sight glass. There's a level of water. You can kind of see the hash mark that puts us at 100 barrels. So those are just a couple basic things. Obviously, this is a giant tank, so you also have to be aware of gaskets, seals, things like that going bad that also will not let you pull a vacuum. So if you are new to a tanker or a vacuum truck and you're not being able to get a good vacuum seal, start with any of those things and then work to the most catastrophic, such as a pinhole or something else like that. One more thing, talking about building pressure. So like I said, you kind of need to keep an eye on this thing right here, make sure you don't go past the rating for your tank. Another thing is that these specific tanks that I'm driving, I think this is a Dragon tank. These things it's obviously not going to happen if you have a stainless tank or anything like that, but these tanks have a liner on the inside, and what can actually happen is that liner, as the tank gets older and wears down, the liner can actually come off and actually dislodge in your valve, building pressure in the tank where you don't want it. because if that clogs up and you're trying to build pressure, all you're doing is building pressure to here, which is going to make your tank pressure exceed past the rating, which could cause you burn pumps, can do all kind of stuff. And obviously there's another filter right here, so if you do happen to pump some liner through and it does make it this far, it can get stuck right here, clog this up, and then you're not pumping anything into the tank, therefore rendering your job useless. But here is just a small piece of this liner, you know, a little less, probably like 1/16 of an inch. And it's just kind of like this hard, brittle plastic stuff. I'm not sure exactly what it is. So yeah, those are some common things you gotta be keeping an eye on and some mistakes you can make here in the tanker business. And so on these first couple loads, what I actually do is actually just take the time to actually just do some walking. I actually walk around just right here around the truck, just to get some simple exercise in, keep the body moving throughout the day before it gets too hot out here. So we're gonna finish getting unloaded. We're gonna go back to the actual well. We're gonna start loading. I'm gonna actually go over a little bit about my truck. So I'll see you guys here in a bit.